Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. As a recent grad, let me tell you, I have done every single job under the sun during university. So I thought it'd be useful and valuable to just put a guide and put a framework on the top 3 ways I've been best able to monetize based on my experience so far. So I wanted to start off with customer service jobs. Secondly, I wanted to talk about tutoring, and then thirdly, social media. So I'm just gonna go right into each one in every category. Okay, so for the level 1, I'd say that includes serving, bartending, any customer service, retail job, any of those. And I'd say the monthly expected income for that, depending if you're part-time or full-time, would be around $1,500 to $2,000. Again, that's estimated that my experience is based in Canada, so that's really helpful. But the biggest benefit, I'd say, is first of all the flexibility. You're allowed to work short hours and make good money. Especially with serving, you can make really good money. Second, if it's not busy and you're working a regular retail job or customer service, something quick and easy, you're able to focus on your own work. I've at multiple times and occasions I worked in a hotel or something where it's not busy. You just pull up your homework and you do it as long as there's no people in sight. So that's good. For example, if you're serving, I'd say you're able to work less hours and make a good amount of money that will actually last you the whole month. I'd say serving, if you're working between 25 hours a week, which is between part-time and full-time, I'd say you're able to make quite a good income, probably around $3,000 a month. So that's really good. Another thing, you're always active, you're always moving, which is really good. So that's something I always kept in mind. You're always around people, which is amazing. And also you have the ability to control your own income. How great is that? Pretty much if you're short on money, you can always pick up a shift. If you have an assignment, that's where the flexibility comes into place. You can get somebody to replace you and take your shift. So there's that flexibility that's actually great. And then another great asset of that is honestly holiday season or any high season that usually lines up with university schedules. Pretty much when I would be done finals, you can always work extra, pick up shifts, and that's usually the busy season, so it always works out. Then during the summer as well, when you're not in classes or you're not taking summer classes, you can always pick up extra shifts and make even more money. So that's great. And also, let's not forget those great communication skills that you'll be able to polish. Who doesn't like brushing up on their skills? And this is such a transferable soft skill that it can be used in any other area of your life. So dealing with difficult customers, let's face it, that's part of life. So being able to navigate those situations is great, and it's a win-win. Looks good on your resume and you're gaining experience, so that's already a great asset. So a great tip to secure that job is to lean in on those communication skills and all the great things you've done during university, the clubs you've participated in, the classes you've done. No one knows how you got to university. Just lean in on that, show that you're reliable, and that will really help you secure that job. No one really knows what's going on, so just present yourself in a nice way and hone in on those great courses you've taken, just great lessons you've learned, and I'm sure you'll be able to get that job. So the only downside that I honestly see for this is that 2 things: travel time and lack of social life. So sometimes it can take a lot of time to get from one place to another. You're always busy, you're always going from uni to work to uni to home. I remember when I would work a lot, I'd go from my house to uni and then I'd get a spare change of clothes and then just drive from uni to work and then do that loop and then come back at midnight, 1, whenever I was done, and then redo the same thing. So I would not book super early classes. I'd book them at 10, so then I can wake up in a somewhat of a decent time and do the same thing again. So that can get quite exhausting and you can burn out quite quickly. So that's one thing to keep in mind, which actually leads me to the next point. When you're burnt out is usually when you're just working and you don't have any social interactions. So you gotta be very mindful, because normal people, other people's schedules are usually the opposite, and they're working during the day as opposed to the night here. So usually whenever they're hanging out, you're never able to join, or like not as frequently, so you're missing out on those social interactions. So it can be so motivating sometimes though, when you're picking up extra shifts, you're making that money, and you're able to pay for your tuition. Personally, I was able to pay for my whole entire university education with straight up just serving, and I was working 3 times a week, so it seemed like a lot, but it wasn't that much. I mean, it was quite exhausting. On the thing that really saved me was weekends. I would always close until 2, so that was something I would leverage. Like if I was there, I would rather be there for a long amount of time than to go back the next day. So I would try to be not the first one in, but whenever I'd get in at 4, I'd try to close till like 1 or 2 or whatever the schedule was. So that's a great tip, but pretty much make sure you have to be very mindful, because you're gonna start losing out on those social interactions, especially when you get used to the money. Another con that I've had is you're quite easily replaceable, and it's really hard to find a good stable spot. Usually those jobs are very usually for those jobs the turnover is extremely high. So one day you're here, next day you're not. They've hired a new person, it changes. So to prove that you're reliable is such an important asset, so that they know you'll be there in just times when they need extra people. So that's quite important, and finding a good healthy environment can be challenging. I'm not saying it's impossible. I remember personally I had to go through 5 places in 18 months, the first year and a half or 2 years pretty much of my university degree. I had to switch spots every like 3 months until I found a good job, somewhat of a good job, that was able to just give me proper shifts so I could work. But it can take a while, and I'd say it's kind of an investment, because you're kind of like building connections, getting experience, and like trying different places until you find your go-to spot. All in all, I'd say that serving was probably one of the most lucrative jobs, because the pay is really good. The hours can be long, but the pay is worth it. So it's usually great. That or bartending, those two. I've never personally done retail, because I never saw the great advantage of just working minimum wage. So I've heard the only advantage that I've seen is that you have a lot of flexibilities, and you can like do your own thing on down hours. But I'd still prefer when I'm there to be focused, get my stuff done, get my money, and then leave. So that's a great one. So now let's move on to the second one, which would be tutoring. So this one was pretty much just very intuitive and instinctive, because I'd be going to university. So if I'm learning, might as well teach someone. So this is mostly, so for the pay, this one would be on the second tier. So I'd say between 35 to 50 bucks an hour. I've done here, the best thing is if you're good at a certain subject. So let's say math is really high in demand. So personally, that was not my forte, so I would not really tutor math. But if you know a foreign language, which I would, so I usually would tutor French, or that's pretty much it. Like French or Spanish I've done a little bit, but pretty much like if you know a foreign language, these are skills you can highly leverage, especially in a location that's not their native language, and there's a lot of schools teaching that. So pretty much I tutor French in from grade 1 to grade 12, and that could be like reading comprehension, writing, like anything. So if you've mastered a skill, please don't be afraid to use it and to go out there. So personally, I would do it with an agency. So they kind of match you up with a student based on your location. So that was good. But if you do this by yourself, this is a big, just something to be mindful of. it's that you can be traveling a lot of times. So when I'm saying 35 to 50 bucks an hour, let's say it's $40, but let's say it takes you half an hour to get there. That's time that you're not getting paid for. Sometimes you also need to prepare for the lesson, which takes time as well. So this pretty much like this 1 hour lesson can be very easily, the money can very easily be diluted in like 2 hours, even though you're only getting paid for one. So my strategy was pretty much, yeah, so either go with an agency, which was really good because they match you up with people within your radius. So that was great. Second, tutor online. So when the pandemic hit, it was great because I was able to just continue with my students online. So that was very easy. That's pretty much it. That's the only other thing that I did. Or actually the third thing is, it's actually quite nicer if there's 2 kids in the family. So then you can spend an hour with one, an hour with the other one if they need the same help. That sometimes would happen, which was so nice. That way you just get 2 birds with 1 stone and you're done. You've done your like the 2 hours a day or a week or whatever for those 2 students. So that's a great thing. And then on top of that, you're actually like, teaching something is like learning it twice. So when you're teaching somebody something, like a student, the concept is just reinforced in you, and it's fun, it's interesting, the interactions are good, you're actually helping somebody, you're helping the student. So usually that you see like their effort, and you see how they're progressing, and when they're doing well, their parents are very happy. So it's really rewarding, I'd say. So overall, I'd say it's probably better than, it's on a higher level than customer service jobs. I'd say it takes more focus, so you would not be doing like 6 hours of tutoring a day. I would pretty much at my peak do 6 hours a week, which, I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot, but in supplement to serving was actually pretty good. And it's good to just get that change of pace and not always be just doing one type of job. I'd say this is a great supplement, especially if you're in university, you know things. Even actually English, like to younger kids, that's a great subject. Social studies, there's always gaps in their learning, especially after what we've gone through. So parents really appreciate them catching up and just being well-rounded and being able to articulate their thoughts. Let's just not forget, if you're in university, you should be able in a way to tutor kids that are pretty much like grade 6 to grade 7 and anything under that, because just by virtue of being in university, you are in a way qualified. You've gone through the material, you know it, so it shouldn't be that bad. So that's pretty much always an option. You don't always need to be doing like science or math or anything super complicated, physics or another language. So there's always a way. And then finally, the last one I'd say is leveraging social media. So for that, it can be, I've heard of personal assistants. I haven't personally done that, but a lot of people need help to run their business, and it's actually quite a great asset. And you can just as a user, you know how things work, so you're able to help them. But otherwise, if you choose to use your identity online, you can do social media. So you can have an account just through like sponsorships if you grow your following, or just in general. I'd say even on TikTok is huge. So you can definitely get just like, you don't need to be an influencer or anything, but you can straight up just be a content creator, and brands will approach you, and then you can create content for brands. So that's a great resource. And finally, I also want to mention, as a user of social media, you know how things work. You know how editing a picture works. You know how editing a video works. You know how hashtags work. And just as a user, you don't need to be an influencer yourself. You can just learn that and then you can straight up just help other businesses, content creators create that. So that can be a great skill, and that the money over there, you can make a lot of money, probably around like from 2 to 5K a month if you just put in the effort, the time, are able to master those skills, and just the growth is exponential. So that's a great way. Those are 3 ways. I'd say my favorite thing to do is taking on a layered approach. So just doing like having multiple streams of income and combining those, supplementing those. So either using like one, so I'd be serving lots, but then I'd also be supplementing with pretty much tutoring, and then also I'd add in like a couple of extra like content creation things, and pretty much you can be doing a couple of things at the same time. And that's the best part, because you won't get bored, because if a lot of people just do the same jobs every day, so that can kind of get pretty repetitive, boring, and that way it keeps you on your toes and you get to experience the pros of every single job, because I like to be optimistic. So you get to pretty much be active in serving, bartending. You get to just like be more fulfilled by helping students, and that you get to be more creative by just engaging with brands. So that is my video. Thank you for watching. I'd say the 3 main ways I've made money is customer service, tutoring, and just content creation. So thank you so much for watching my video. Please comment down any other ways you've made money during university. That has been very useful. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!